dysfunctional vet. I am making a well cap for my pipe because I can't buy one. I've ordered some washers, the seals actually, and they're called cam lock seal, which will be big enough to fit inside this hole. I'm going to have to trim them about 1/8 of an inch or thereabouts so that they fit properly, but I did get some. Right here you can see that I'm cutting off the excess plastic, and I'll be drilling a hole in this as soon as I get all this plastic cut off of it. And I'm using a coping saw right here in order to make my top piece, which will fit right on top of this, and then this piece will be inside with my seals, and I'll put 4 bolts up here to cinch these together, and then that will give me a good well seal to keep dirt and contaminant out of my well. Now, if you remember, I'm using a pitless adapter, and the pitless adapter is on a 4-inch pipe, and that's 2.5. So that seal is not going to seal this up right here, but I need that seal when I first drill the thing and I'm evacuating the fluid, so that as I evacuate it, if for some reason I have to cease for a day or two before I put the pitless adapter on, because I'm going to have to cut the pipe below grade, if that happens, I can seal up my well. So that's going to be a temporary. I can get a 4-inch well seal, that is not a problem, but I need one for the 2.5-inch, so that's what I'm building at this time. And this is on building the lift for my casing. This is an articulation built on a top section of Roan Tower. This is 2 feet tall, and I wish I had made it about 1 foot longer, because this only gives me about 23 feet. Now granted, the thing is 20 foot long, but a little extra height would help. As you can see, right here, I have cut something just a little. I've cut something right at 1/4 of an inch in thickness so that this thing does not easily come off, but you can pound it on with a hammer. This is my articulation point. This will hook onto my pulley, which I'll use to lift the rope, which is why I want the additional 1 foot. And this right here is a ring which will come up attached to a small pulley here, which I can use to raise or lower that in order to move the drop point 1 inch or 2 where I'm setting my casing and stuff. Now let's look at the weight that I'm using on the bottom of the lift pulley. What I have is a piece of 2-inch. What I'm using as a lift point, I have this 2-inch 2-inch OD piece of pipe that I've cut, and I have a turnbuckle in the center of it, and I've backed these things down as far as I can, and now I'm filling it with concrete. Once I have this filled up with concrete and let it set up for a day or 2, it will be good to go. I'll be filling this all the way to the top. Right now I'm letting the bottom set up, and then I'll be setting up the top. As you can see, it's now completely filled with concrete, and these index cards hold the concrete inside, and it's suspended on 1-inch wide tongue depressors over the gap created by this board right here and this one right here. So the bottom piece hangs out. Right here I have my rope. Now I buy this stuff in bulk. As you can see, I've got this little, what do you call it? Now this is inexpensive rope. This is not the good stuff, but this will work for everything I'm doing. This is going to be the rope that I use to adjust the angle of the lift arm that was on the tower that I showed you just a moment ago. I'll also be using this, and I'll be tying it to a piece that I'll show you in just a moment. This is the lifting lock that I built. Pull this pin out. This comes open. Slap it on here. Push that in. Slide that through. Slide that through. And then this will pick the pipe up to altitude where it can then be hooked onto or either glued into the next section or lowered into the hole as needed. At this time I have a temporary knot right here, and this will have a pulley. I haven't put the pulley on yet. This rope that you see right here is a little over 25 feet long. That will get me down to the bottom and have a little extra rope. As we swing this direction, I have a temporary knot here. Then I have a clip right here holding the pulley. And then the pulley will either pick up or lower the drop head or the piece of pipe accordingly. It'll lift the pipe into position, and then it can be lowered down into the bore, and that will take care of this. Now I have to build one more section of lift, and that is to hold a 1-inch pipe. The 1-inch pipe will be when I start to clean out the cutting fluid, and I'm using my sump pump, which will go to the bottom. And let's discuss this sump pump for one moment. The sump pump, as you remember, consists of this footer valve, and that footer valve does create a bit of an issue when you initially start pumping water. Once the water is in there and it's going, you're good. What I personally think could be done is just to add a little bit of water into this body when you get ready to start pumping, because just having a little bit of a seal on the top end here will help. Now the reason I say this is because when I was putting this together, I loosened this piece up a little bit, and so having just a little bit of fluid on it helps to seal this. And I'm talking maybe less than a cup of water just on this, because again I damaged this when I was building the piece that now goes on there, but it works great. Had I not damaged that footer valve wouldn't even be an issue. But the water will come through here. The footer valve will help prevent any damage to this flapper, because this flapper is just some plastic over a large hole going down. And then, as you saw in a previous video, I showed how I built this piece right up here, which fits onto the actual pump diaphragm here, and it'll be going up inside. And again, yes, I will be using an airlift down this length of tubing once I get started. And what I will be doing is I'll be pushing air down inside there pretty much as soon as I start going. As soon as I start hitting water, I'll start a little bit of airflow going, just to make sure that no type of particulate matter that gets inside there might stop up the tubes, because the tubes are 1/4 inch, are very small. So just a little bit of air flowing through will keep anything from going into it. It won't take much. This is the base for the Roan tower. That triangular piece that you saw just a moment ago that had the rope on it will have two 10-foot sections onto this. They fit down onto here. There are some screw holes here, and over there you can see those, which will help secure the tower in place. And then the thing articulates here, and then that also has a counterpart on this side, which wasn't necessary for this, but this helps hold this section of the tower base in place on top of this block, which is it's probably about 60 to 70 pounds. It's not a full. This base is over 50 pounds, but I don't know exactly how heavy it is. It will work. I can drive some stakes into the ground on the back side if necessary, while lifting the tower into place so that the base doesn't slide around. But having the base without, I was going to put stakes here, here, and over here so I could nail this thing down, but it occurred to me if I can adjust this a little bit, then I can help to center up my drop piece so that when I'm lowering my tubing, it will fit in a whole lot better.